Hey guys, and welcome to In the Trenches podcast with Carson, Shipp, and Tanner Strauss, your two co-hosts talking everything college sports. And with it being the end of March, madness is upon us this weekend, as it is Wednesday, March 20th. Tanner, I know I've filled out my bracket, you've filled out yours, but before we get there, we should probably talk about the NIT and all the teams who didn't make it.
Yeah, we probably should talk about the NIT, and I guess the first thing I want to personally talk about is TCU. I feel like they were the team that got robbed the most, and they had to settle for the NIT. They had to play Sam Houston State actually today in their first round matchup, but they play in the Big 12, and the Big 12 is the real deal, man. They are a tough basketball conference. I feel like Oklahoma was probably the only borderline team in that conference that made the team. I feel like Texas, they were technically borderline too, but I knew they weren't going to get in. TCU, though, I felt like for sure was going to get in, but they got robbed, in my opinion. So, I mean, I feel like TCU and Arizona State, they should swap, and TCU should have the right to play St. John's in that first four matchup. But
yeah, I would agree with you, man. The Pac-12 kind of sucked this year, and I mean that in every polite way I possibly can, but it was just atrocious. I mean, Oregon basically got a bid by default because they won their conference tournament. And then, Washington makes it in, which we all kind of speculated ahead of time. But Arizona State making it over TCU, I'm not really sure about. Arizona State was one of those teams that was the only one ranked from the Pac-12 in the entire season. And so I found that to be kind of interesting that they want to give 3 bids to the Pac-12 when not a lot is ado of that. And even at that, only one Pac-12 team made the NIT in Colorado. So not overly impressed with Pac-12 basketball this year.
As far as the other bubble teams that we're watching pretty nervously on Selection Sunday, I mean, I felt like they for the most part, got it right. You could argue that UNC Greensboro deserved to be in the dance, but they had to settle for the NIT. But
yeah, I mean, maybe we give them the play-in spot.
Indiana, they got what they deserve. Alabama got what they deserve. I mean, Texas definitely got what they deserve. Thankfully, they were able to beat South Dakota State last night, so they're still playing with a little bit of pride.
Yeah,
so
a little bit. Yeah, what little bit is left.
We'll see what ends up happening, but I feel like that's enough about the NIT. Let's talk about some teams that can really make some noise, some bracket busters. Carson, I'll let you go ahead and start it off. I know you got a big one.
Okay, well,
Marquette-Murray State matchup.
Yeah, I like this guy, Ja Morant. He's really raw. Not to be confused with rapper and Firefest entrepreneur Ja Rule. Ja Morant is a baller. I'm sure a lot of people have heard about him now that the tournament has happened, but these guys really, I mean, everyone should have been watching this kid in the regular season. He was just phenomenal. I mean, this is a kid who, if the one and done, if you didn't have to go to college or be away from pro basketball for a year after you turn 18, he would have been straight into the NBA. I mean, he is extraordinarily talented, and I think he gives Murray State an opportunity to make some noise. I actually have Murray State in my bracket going all the way to the Sweet 16. I know a lot of people won't like that. I don't really care what a lot of people like and don't like, but he's a baller, and they're definitely going to upset in the first round. I have a strong feeling about it.
Here's an interesting scenario for you guys right here. So, Belmont beat Temple last night, which I was thinking that was going to happen. So Belmont has to end up playing Maryland, and I think that Maryland is a very inconsistent, streaky team. This is a team that has lost a lot of games by a lot of points, and this is a team that has won a lot of games too, but when they lose, they lose big. So I think that kind of makes them vulnerable in this first-round matchup. So hear me out, guys, on this. So if Belmont beats Maryland, Belmont would play the winner of Yale and LSU. I feel like LSU has just enough to get by Yale. Obviously, people know that LSU lost their head coach, Will Wade. He is not coaching in the NCAA tournament, and he was a big part why LSU got the overall #1 seed. We saw what LSU did in the SEC tournament without their head coach on the sideline, lost in the first round in their first game to Florida. So I feel like that LSU will be able to get past Yale, but then Belmont as an 11 seed will upset LSU at the round of 32, and I feel like Belmont's a team to watch out for to make it to the Sweet 16 as well.
Man, I forgot what this time of year was like. This is so freaking nuts. Now I'm having to choose between what's actually right and my favorite teams. And I mean, even though Texas isn't in it and that sucks, you never want to pick against your favorite team. You know what I mean? Like,
Oh no, absolutely.
I watch a lot of Villanova basketball, right? I do not know if they can beat St. Mary's.
Yeah, they got a pretty bad draw, I'll tell you.
You got to play St. Mary's, and then you got to play the winner of Purdue Old Dominion, which, let's be honest, that's Purdue. And then you probably are going to have to play Tennessee or Iowa or Cincinnati. I don't think
Well,
Colgate is
that's not
coming
to
out.
mention, Villanova, they got to get by St. Mary's first. I don't even know. I got St. Mary's winning that game. They won their conference tournament. They were a bid stealer.
They beat
Villanova,
Gonzaga. They literally showed up and said, Gonzaga's not that good. It's chill.
It's just, it's a coin flip, really. That game, I feel like could go either way. I'm actually really looking forward to that game. Another interesting point that I want to make out to you guys is Kansas State as a 4 seed. They earned it. They had a great regular season and a great out in the Big 12 tournament, losing to Iowa State. Unfortunately, one of their best players, Dean Wade, as of now, is not expected to play in the Big Dance, and he was a big part of the majority of their success they had this season.
Yeah.
So I just want to point out they played UC Irvine, 13 seed in the first round. I feel like, kind of like LSU, they're going to have enough to get by UC Irvine. But then I got another upset, Oregon upsetting Wisconsin. I feel like Oregon would have enough juice. They got enough momentum riding with them. They just won their conference tournament, even though it was Pac-12. I feel like they'd be able to knock off Kansas State in that round of 32. Oregon as a 12 seed is another high double-digit seed that I see going to the Sweet 16.
Well, I just want to go back to Dean Wade, and then I want to talk about the 5 versus 12 seed picks. Dean Wade, didn't they play without him last year?
They did.
Okay, so a little bit tougher draw this year, though. I mean, you are going to have to play a little bit more competitive teams. We'll see what team shows up for Kansas State. But I think I've actually picked the only 5 seed against a 12 seed that I had the 5 seed winning in was Mississippi State.
Mississippi State.
They play
Liberty, right?
Yeah, they play Liberty. That's correct.
Liberty. Yeah. And then they got to play Virginia Tech, huh?
Yeah, that's right. That's a tough game.
That is a tough draw for Mississippi State. They had a great season, and they earned that 5 seed. I thought that was honestly a little bit too high of a seed. I thought they were like a 6 or 7.
Yeah, I was definitely thinking
seed.
7.
But that's kind of a tough matchup, to have to play a team like Virginia Tech in the second round. And then, of course, the winner of our conference, Abilene Christian, they got rewarded with a 15 seed. They have to play Kentucky.
That's great. Let them play Kentucky. They can go play Kentucky. I'd rather it be them than the Lumberjacks from Stephen F. Austin.
Kind of the last team I want to talk about, they kind of got a bad draw, in my opinion. And this is the team that had a great regular season. And they had they lost to Cincinnati in their conference tournament. But Houston, they got rewarded with a 3 seed. And I feel like they're going to be able to take care of business against Georgia State. But, man, if they have to run into Iowa State in the round of 32, dude, as a 3 seed, I would not want to play Iowa State in the second round in that round of 32. Okay,
so whose draw? Let's keep it in the same conference, right? Because Houston played Cincinnati in the championship game of their conference tournament. And so would you rather have Houston's draw or Cincinnati's draw? Because if I'm looking at it, I'd rather have Cincinnati's. And they think they got snubbed.
Well, Cincinnati, they won their conference. They split with a couple of poor teams in their conference, like USF, UCF. Even though UCF made the tournament, I feel like Cincinnati, they have enough juice on their team to be able to take care of that team, take care of business against that team twice. Yeah, so I'll say this: Cincinnati, I don't like their first round matchup. Iowa is a team that can shoot lights out in the gym if they're hot, but Houston has to play Georgia State. So I feel like definitely Houston's draw is a little bit more favorable because Georgia State in that first round matchup I feel like it's going to be a little bit easier than having to play Iowa. But then, let's say Cincinnati takes care of business against Iowa, they're probably going to have to play Tennessee. That's when I feel like Cincinnati can really start making some noise as a 7 seed. I feel like they have enough to upset that Tennessee team.
Yeah, because I mean, and you're right about that. And think about it: if you're Houston, you got to play Georgia State,
Georgia State.
and then Iowa State, and then Kentucky, and then even if you win against Kentucky, you got to go play North Carolina.
Right, and that's if
That
you can get past the first giant Iowa State in that round of 32. I mean, I personally have Iowa State beating Houston in the round of 32. I got Iowa State even beating Kentucky. And I got Iowa State losing to North Carolina in my Elite Eight matchup.
I actually have the exact same thing, but I might have to just make Iowa State win that game against North Carolina just so that we can differ a little bit. I also messed around this year and accidentally put Florida in my Sweet 16, accidentally on purpose, beating Nevada and Michigan.
Yeah, no, that's a – see, I wanted to have Florida beat Michigan, but I feel like Michigan, they're too good fundamentally and I feel like they're going to be able to beat Florida in that second round. But no, that's a good pick, having Florida beat Nevada.
Dude, to me,
Nevada's another team that had a phenomenal season this year, and they kind of got a bad draw having to play Florida in that first game.
Well, and I kind of thought Nevada was going to be a little bit higher than a 7 seed, to be honest with you. I thought they would give them at least a 5 or a 6, but I mean, playing Florida is never easy, and we all know Florida loves to chuck the 3. I mean, they've thrown, they've shot an astronomical amount of 3s this season. So it's all about, you live by the 3, you die by the 3.
So let's end the show. Let's talk about our Final Four and our national championship matchups. Let's see how accurate we get come April when it's time for the Final Four to tip off from Indianapolis and the national championship game. Let's see. My personal Final Four is I got Duke matching up with Texas Tech and Virginia matching up with North Carolina. And I just feel like this all is going to, head to round 4 with a matchup with North Carolina and Duke in the national championship. And North Carolina won the first 2, Duke won the last matchup, and I feel like Duke's going to win the 4th matchup. I got Duke winning it all. I just don't see anybody stopping that team.
Man, all right. Well, our national championships are very similar, and I got to say, a lot of our picks are very similar. I have Duke playing Texas Tech on April 6th, and I have Duke winning that game. I think the Red Raiders and Chris Beard are a really great team. I think this is the year that they make it to the Final Four. I love what they're doing out there in Lubbock. I just hope they can remain, poised and keep consistent, even if the game starts getting away from them in the tournament, which will likely happen, especially in the Final Four against a team that's basically putting on the court 3 NBA starters. So, Coach K and all those guys, they're going to do everything they can to get to the finals. I don't really think I need to elaborate too much on Zion Williamson and his just absolute beast mentality. And he's just so physical. That guy. Anyways, and then in my Final Four, I am actually going to end up going with Iowa State and Virginia. I'm going to change it last second and pick Iowa State just to spite you. I love Muriel Shayok. I've been talking about it all season.
Virginia, you weren't too high on Virginia. You started like their draw when you saw what kind of matchups they could see.
Yeah, Virginia is one of those teams that I don't trust the Virginia men's basketball team much further than I can throw them. And let me tell you, it ain't far. After you lose to a 16 seed as a 1 for the first time ever, it's going to take a little bit for you to recover from that. But I mean, I think, when it happened last year, they handled it with a lot of poise. And they addressed it, and they said,
"Look, got an opportunity for redemption. They're a 1 seed this year. I don't think they want to lose to a 16 seed 2 years in a row.
They're going to try to put it on people's heads, like for real. They're about to get at it. So I think we're either going to see boom or bust from Virginia, per usual. I think Virginia beats Iowa State in that game, and I have Duke beating Virginia in the final.
One more comment I want to say is I feel like as a 1 seed, you got kind of snubbed with Gonzaga. They're going to have to play the winner of that Syracuse-Baylor game. And I feel like both Baylor and Syracuse, whoever wins that game, which is the 8-9 matchup that I'm most looking forward to, I think they're going to have enough to upset Gonzaga in the round of 32. I actually have Gonzaga as the first 1 seed losing.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, they have the huge opportunity of upsetting, but that's probably all they're going to have time for today.
Hope you guys take our advice, man. We know that it's a crapshoot, but it's always a fun time. We hope you guys do a bracket, and thank you guys for tuning in and giving us a listen.